I've been studying the Maya lately, and I've been listening to the scientists and all the stuff there is on the internet, and I've been doing a bit of reading myself and been compiling some documents. What you have there is Lilith. She was Adam's first wife. She's the serpent from the garden. She takes male and female form. There she is there again. Quetzalcoatl eating the Maya and having some, and the Maya are having some Maya for dinner, or maybe the neighbours. And there's where they sacrifice the people on top of the temple, and there's all that black stuff. Now remember, this temple is in the middle of the jungle. There's no cars or anything, but it's full of this black stuff that they're saying is pollution. But in the Bible it says it's the vapor of your vapor, because they've made idolatry. So here's the thing. How did the Maya operate? Well, the Maya were a tribe. This is the story of the Maya. They were a tribe in the jungle. Next thing a load of giants turned up on reed boats. Some of them were really tall, 30 feet tall and all. But they started to try and mate with the women, killed a load of the women. The natives got upset with them, but eventually they ended up being the royal family. So the royal families were a certain colour, and the rest of the people that were under the Maya, that hadn't got the giants' genes, they just worked for them. But basically they sacrificed a lot of people. But what they can't explain, the scientists, is why the Maya built their cities away from water. They built them right in the middle of the nowhere. There was no rivers. They had to bring water there. But I think I know why. The giants were made by Satan. That's documented in the Bible and loads of other books. Satan made the giants. They're the hybrids. They're his offspring. He sent his offspring to do a dirty task. That was to take these people who lived in the jungle, who believed in the Great Spirit, and turn them into worshippers of Satan, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. But you see, everybody has a spiritual angelic protection. So basically the Maya, the scientists couldn't explain why they built their cities in the middle of nowhere without any access to water and all, and why they done that. Well, it's obvious to me the human population were totally under the control of the Thers and the giants, who were created by this creature here, the present god of this age and the earth. He's been the god of the earth for the past 6,000 years, or probably even a little bit more than that. There he is there. Good night. God bless. There he is there eating people. Yeah? So basically, they built that city because he knew what he was doing. He was thinking, right, we'll get these to do human sacrifices and all of this for a couple of generations, a few hundred years, maybe 5, 6, and eventually they'll lose their spiritual protection because of the sins of their fathers. Generations and generations and generations of cannibalism, human sacrifice, and whatever else crazy shit they were, blood drinking, vampirism, all of these familiar spirits, whatever else they done, warfare, God will just forsake them. So they are the city forsaken. They were forsaken. God says, right, you are forsaken. And all of a sudden they disappeared. So you look at it this way, Satan knew what he was doing. Or Lilith, the male or the female version. He knew what he was doing. He turned around and he said, he turned around and said to himself, I know what I'll do, I'll send me giants over there. I'll get them to take them out into the jungle where they can't escape on any boats. And then when they're forsaken, when the angelic protection is gone, I'll devour them. And that's what happened. There he is there. He had them right in the jungle where he wanted them, in the middle of nowhere, no boats to get on and escape, under the mind control of giants, trauma-based mind control. You'll be under some sort of trauma-based mind control if you see people regularly being taken up to the top of this thing and have their heart cut out. That's what they did. So yeah, I think that's the explanation why the city is built in the middle of nowhere. So they can't escape. So they were under the control of this critter. This that's what it is, yeah, 100%. That's what happens. They just disappeared. So you think about this creature is living a very long time. He can plan generations ahead, and like I always say, like the Callahan, you have to be able to plan a few generations ahead to be a proper leader. Because with the knowledge my ancestors gained, to prove my ancestors lived for hundreds of years before the Catholic Church brought in all the pagan temples and started to build churches and cathedrals, and now the Catholic Church, cathedrals and pagan temples come in. Now they want all these other religions, pagan temples, Hinduism, Buddhism, all of these other temples that you should not lift a tool upon a stone. Now they're all in here. So over the generations of calling priests fathers and all, telling them, treating them like they're God, speaking to them like they're God, Jesus says, call no man father. The Lord says, right. Eventually, he'll get pissed off and he'll say, right, that's it, fair enough, I'm forsaking these. And the angels will say, okay. The angels won't help you. And then Satan will move in and eat you. So that's why it says in the last days, if those days were not shortened, but for the elect few, there would be no flesh left upon the earth. So here's a microcosm of what the whole earth is looking forward to if Satan gets his way. See, and look closely in them baskets. There's heads and there's arms and everyone's having a munch. That's what's going on. So the Mayan cities were specifically built strategically by something that was living for generations before the Maya and was planning their downfall generations in advance. He's doing the same to you, every one of you, because he eats the dust of the earth, and man was made from the dust of the earth. And the Lord breathed into man's nostrils life, and that is what he's after. That's your vapor. It's being seeped out. So prior to that, he was after building the moon in a place called Puma Punka, and this is all ancestral knowledge. So the conquistadors, when they came and they conquered the Maya, they said that they had loads of bones of the giants who they believe worshipped as gods. They worshipped the bones as gods. And the Smithsonians took them all. There's a group out there called the Smithsonians. Google them. They rob all the giants' bones. They're covering it all up. They're into witchcraft. They're guilty. They're covering up. They're Satan's little minions. Smiths is one of the most common names for some reason. So anyway, Smithsonians nick all the bones and they cover it up. So basically the Mayan were duped over generations, and then eventually they lost their spiritual protection, and Satan and all his minions had them for dinner. I know it sounds strange, but it's true. There's lots of records to back. Well, there was lots of records to back it up, but the Catholic Church hid them and all. So now you're getting set up. Now you're getting set up with the Masons. See, they always have to have Masons. See, a temple that's made of a stone is an abomination to the Lord. No matter what you do inside that, you can say all the prayers to Jesus Christ, it doesn't go to Jesus Christ. Or it doesn't go to the Most High God, Jehovah. Because it's a tool upon a stone. And the basic foundations of civilization, real civilization, is not to take a tool upon a stone and call it an altar to God or a God. Catholicism and this new world religion and all the other religions, they break that. So we're not civilized. And God probably sees it all the same. So eventually he's just going to take away the spiritual protection.